Alrighty, this is devlog number 4, and yes, I still have the naked man. So basically, what I've been working on for the past, I'd say at least 13 to 14 hours, and when I say working, I mean actually working between the past 2 days on this, is the third person slash true first person character setup for the aiming down sight system. Now, this had to be handled differently than the first person because, well, for starters, if I go ahead and click on the arms here, the arms are a child of the camera. So that allows me to simply go based off of the root, kind of the position of the arms, and not have to worry about it. Well, not the arms, but the mesh. Whereas with the third person, I have to go based off of a different bone and have a kind of a different setup altogether, and have the basic logic to kind of know which one to go in between. So the way I had to go about setting this up, because I wanted it to work with my current system, because I have a simple checkbox here to check whether or not it's a true first-person character. So currently, as you can see, I have a pair of arms and a full body mesh. And I'm set to not use a true first-person character. So if I hit play, as you can see, we see full bodies. However, I'm only using just arms. And currently I just have a crappy, I'm just using the shadow for the third person mesh as your kind of like your example shadow, so to speak, so the gun isn't aligned to it because it's not attached to it. That'll end up getting changed later, but I'm on the first person arms, and as you can see, everything works all the same between third and first person. Now if I want to, I can go to a true first person character just by selecting that box, and because of how everything is set up behind the scenes, if I look down, you can see I have a full body. So we are now using the full true first person mesh, and everything again works all the same. So all the reload animations and everything, they're all, good to go, and you don't really have to worry about any of that. So that was really the main thing that was getting worked on. I ended up adding this. This actually needs to be removed because apparently, I don't know necessarily why. So when you go to use the hide bone by name or just the hide bone in general for a mesh, it says it just simply scales the bone to 0. And you can visually see that's what it does. However, for some odd reason, it seems like it doesn't keep the translation. So yeah, it sets the bone to scale 0, but it doesn't keep the translation. So when you're doing this and you hide the head and the neck, for example, well, the way you attach the camera is to a camera socket that is a child of the head bone, and that's obviously a problem because, well, you lose all that translation, so you don't have anything, to go with, if that makes sense. So I had to switch that up, and instead we now have this setup right here. So basically, after everything's done and handled, we set our final pose, then we want to go through and handle our head. So we have a blend poses by bool that is using a is locally controlled boolean that I set in the C++ animation instance somewhere in here. So basically, if it is locally controlled, all we do is we simply, let me actually clean this up a tiny bit. All we do is we set the head bone to be 0 for the scale. So that way it just hides it. It kind of gets it out of the way. So you can see it kind of, oh, well, I figured I would show it live in there, but I guess not. And if we are not locally controlled, what we do is we go through and we will rotate the head based upon a rotator that I, again, have set up inside of the, inside of the C++ animation instance. Now you can also alter certain things, like I added a couple things here. If we go to class defaults, we have a section down here for aiming, and we have the head aim rotation. Now this is basically just, well, as it states, what angle you kind of want your head to be at when you're aiming. So for example, it's set to 45, and that's what this looks like. It rotates it to a 45-degree angle. If I wanted to, I think I may have actually showed this, but I can bump this down to like 20, have something less extreme. As you can see, it doesn't lean in nearly as much. Now I went ahead and made some improvements in regards to the shoulder positioning of the stock. So if we come over here and look at, let's see, I think I'm using the complete firearm. We can go to aiming, and we have another section here for shoulder stock offset. So I went ahead and tried to correct it because X was not equal to the X, Y was not equal to Y, and Z was not equal to Z. Granted, Y doesn't actually do anything. As well as they were kind of going a little bit backwards. They're still going a little bit backwards. I need to invert the Z. But basically, if we come over here and we look at the position, and I aim, it's moving the stock up about to the trap. So it's bringing it up, and it's bringing it in a little bit. So towards the center is your X. So if I were to lower this to -2, for example, we would bring this much closer to the center of our body because 0 is the center of our body. So we want to move that out about -8 to bring it kind of around our shoulder area. And then we have our Z, and that's obviously our vertical. However, again, like I said, it needs to be inverted. So if I set this to 4, you can see the stock should, I believe, go down. No, it just doesn't go up nearly as high. But if I drop it down to -4, as you can see, it brings the stock way up. So there's some, put that at, I had it at 0. I actually set 0 as the default. But that's really all I really wanted to go over. That was, it might not seem like much, but I can tell you right now, that was a tremendous pain to go through and deal with. So let's see. I guess I might as well bring you along while I go ahead and change up that shoulder stock position. I think it was in set site transform. Yep, stock offset. Trying to set these to just have a default that's similar in case it can't find it for whatever reason. So get the Z, and I just want to just invert the Z. That should take care of that. So hopefully now, when I bump this up to 4, instead of it lowering the stock, it should raise it up. That is not quite correct. Let's see. Yeah, that should have been, unless I'm being just really kind of dumb here. I'm a little bit fried mentally, and yeah, I guess that's kind of what I did. Why would that alter the X, though? Okay, so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but let's bump this up to like 5. Should raise it up a good bit. And it does. So there, we now have that back to where, well, at least I personally wanted it. So this should be where the new default is once I actually save it. And I'd say that's pretty good. Actually, it probably wouldn't hurt to actually set that to 2, just so the buffer tube meets the cheek a lot closer, because the stock's going to add a little bit of thickness. And really, I guess, just go from there. Let's just set that as the default. And that's going to be it. So, anyways, that's really all I had to show. I was just felt like making a video on it because, again, this was just an unbelievable amount of time just to try to figure this out. And that was a tremendous pain in the butt. So, anyways, we're getting very close to the point where I feel confident enough to push this to the marketplace. So that should hopefully happen here soon. I would like to try to get it submitted and approved before the 7th, but I don't think that's going to happen because on the 7th, that's the final day to submit a plugin of your choice to be on sale for the July sale. So I guess I'll just have to do my own little sale whenever I go through and publish it and just, I guess, schedule it around the same time. So anyhow, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to end up doing next. I obviously want to add a little bit of clothing because this gets, when you stare at this guy for hours on end, it gets a little old. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video.